Morbius is one of the most talked about films right now as it has the lowest score ever for a Marvel film. The film was directed by Daniel Espinosa, and he's done films like Life and Safe House. I want to let you guys know, if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and turn on the notification bells. It'll let you know when I post any new content, and comment below your thoughts on the new Marvel film, Morbius. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. The film stars Jared Leto, Matt Smith, Adria Arjona, Jarrett Harris, and Tyrese Gibson. So Morbius was pushed back a ton of times, and there is a lot of negative kind of comments about this film, even before this film was getting released, that it was just going to be a complete crappy movie. And I really wanted to kind of ignore those kind of comments and just go into this film, giving it a chance and just seeing what it had to offer. And the positives that I can say about this film is I really like the dark atmosphere of this. They do a really good job of kind of showing this dark atmosphere for a Marvel film. It's a lot darker kind of film than most Marvel films that you would see. I also thought that Jared Leto and Matt Smith, I thought they had really good chemistry here, and I thought the acting really wasn't that bad. A lot of people have kind of criticized their acting in this, but I don't really think that's the problem of this film. I also like the fact that Morbius, he doesn't have a cape. He's not your typical hero. He's the anti-hero. You have somebody that isn't, a Batman. It's no shot at Batman or any other superhero that we've seen, but it just seems a little bit more fresh having kind of the anti-hero here and just introducing us to a new story. But as this film plays out, I really think that this film is really a fail. It just has a lot of problems with it. And starting off with the characters in this, I really think that the characters, there's a lot of them that they really don't develop. They try to have a love interest for Morbius, and that was just a complete fail because they really don't develop that at all. You have Tyrese Gibson in this film, and they really don't do anything with his character. He feels like a really wasted character, and that's kind of how a lot of the side characters are in this. They just don't do enough to really do anything to push the story or make it better, or really do anything to increase the story or make people even feel any interest to these side characters. And then you get into the CGI for this, and woo, it's really bad, guys. For one, before we even get into the CGI, the film really feels like it was shot in like the early 2000s. And the CGI of this movie, I haven't heard anybody else say this, but the CGI of this movie really reminds me of a film that was made back in 2014. It was called I, Frankenstein. That film is horrible. It has one of the worst CGIs I've ever seen in a film, and I really compare the CGI in this film to that film. It just feels really overdone. A lot of the fight scenes, there is a ton of CGI. There's a lot of quick kind of cuts. The editing is really messy. It's really choppy. And when they are having these fight scenes with Matt Smith and Jared Leto, the fighting, you can't even really tell what's going on. There's a lot of shaky cam. It's just really messy, and I really just didn't like the fact that they just overdo the CGI so much in this film. The film also jumps really quick into the action and really gets into a point of, you have the biochemist Morbius, where he is just kind of not even failing on any of his experiments. He just quickly finds this supposed cure and then inadvertently turns into this vampire, and it's just really quickly getting into that. It's just no build up at all. It just kind of happens. And then you add on to the fact that Michael Keaton, he's not in this film. He's on the IMDb credits, but he's not in this film at all. He plays no role at all in this film. And then you also have scenes that are in the trailer that are not in the film, and there's several of those. And it just makes me wonder, what kind of editing did they do to this film when we had all these delays? It just seems like they had so much time to work on this movie being delayed, and it just feels like it doesn't have a lot of heart. I feel bad for Jared Leto and Matt Smith in this because I don't think that their acting is bad, but I think the script overall is just abysmal. And the ending of this film is very kind of quick, and it's very kind of stupid, to be honest with you. I really didn't like the ending of this film at all. And for some reason, Sometimes when you watch a bad film, it's almost like you can predict that it's going to have a really bad ending. And that's what this film is. It just really has an ending that really just feels like it's really unfinished. There's a lot of scenes in this film where it just seems really unfinished. It seems like they just kind of just didn't know what to do with certain scenes, and it just feels really sloppy. And I was just really disappointed by this film. It didn't do anything to really push the boundary for Marvel. If anything, it seems like this was a big step back for Marvel. And I really hope with this next film with Doctor Strange that they can do a lot better than this, because this was just really embarrassing for Marvel. And this is definitely the worst Marvel film I've ever seen. I'm gonna give a score of this film a 1 out of 5. It's not a good film, and I think that you guys should definitely skip it. If you are a Marvel fan, I would wait to stream it. I wouldn't waste your time in the theater. It's not a good time at all, and I really hated this movie overall. Thank you guys for watching this review, and I'll see you guys on my next one.